Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here for this important conversation with three of our key local public servants. Throughout this pandemic, the Chamber has been hard at work advocating for local businesses as they continue to navigate the diverse challenges this public health crisis has caused. And I often say that we're in the middle of three crises. One is a health crisis, one is an economic crisis, and the third one certainly is a crisis that involves our total recovery of our economy. And we're also in a crisis of leadership at the national level, but that election will certainly come very soon, and we will see how the public tends to vote. As recently as yesterday, and I was trying to think of the third crisis, is social justice crisis. And I should know that better than anybody else because we're certainly deeply engaged in that. So throughout yesterday, we were in a Zoom meeting with our county mayor and a face-to-face meeting with the Speaker of the House for the State General Assembly. And through those conversations, it's been our intent to create direct contact and engagement with these decision makers. Today's conversation is just another opportunity to create this contact, and we appreciate the chance to support each of our businesses and leaders who will benefit from it. Again, thank you all for being on the line, and many thanks to Assessor Burgess, to Register Ford, and to Trustee Newman for making today's meeting possible. Now, Bobby, it's all yours.
Thank you, Madam President, and we definitely appreciate your leadership during what has been really a difficult time for so many businesses, and for us to have the steady leadership that we have had in the person of Beverly Robertson is definitely something we've all appreciated and have benefited from. As has been mentioned, today I'm delighted to actually be able to have three of our key figures with Shelby County government with us. We have continued to convene opportunities to engage with our elected and public officials. And we feel a need to actually speak to all three of these individuals at one time in the context of one shared meeting. And this is the offices of our assessor, the register, and trustee, because they already work collaboratively on a number of fronts. And it would stand to reason that we would have the opportunity to have the synergy of them being in one meeting, where some of the questions that will likely get asked or some of the issues raised may go from one office to the next, or one individual to the next, because there is an input and opportunity and sometimes a context for some of these issues that kind of go between the offices and the the auspices of these varying individuals. So with that said, please allow me the opportunity to actually make an introduction. I will make a brief introduction of each of these officials, and we're going to start with none other than our assessor of property for Shelby County, Melvin Burgess. Assessor Burgess brings over 30 years of public sector accounting experience to his current role. He's also served as Shelby County Commissioner, inclusive of his time as chair of the Shelby County Commission. And to be quite frank with you, public service is just something that also runs in the family, given his father's actually record of service in addition to his own and his wife's. So with that said, Assessor Burgess, the floor is yours. Turn your camera on and the floor is yours.
Can you see me?
Yes, sir, we can, and hear you.
All right, Bob. Bob, it's good to see you. Of course, you know, we go back a long ways.
Yes, sir, we do.
Of course, junior days when we were young. Well, you were much younger than I was, but we were all trying to get him elected, and that had to be one of the most exciting times, you know, in political history, you know, for the young folks in Memphis and Shelby County.
Absolutely.
But of course, Bob, good afternoon, of course, to yourself and Ms. Robertson and members of the Memphis Chamber. Of course, my name is Melvin Burgess, your Shelby County Assessor of Property. As your Assessor of Property, I want you to know that our motto is we value people over property. And also, I took that motto because when I came aboard, I found out all the information that this office has that could be so useful to homeowners, residential owners, commercial, personal property owners, whichever it may be. So I said what I wanted to do was to make this office be more of a communication hub to where we can communicate, you know, with our constituents and let them understand when we send an assessment out, Bobby, is that you don't have to agree with our assessment. There's something called an appeal. You can appeal it. So I try to get that word out and try to do whatever I can And we have a new website that we just implemented, and we have a chat function on there. So if you just, for the listeners, if you have any issues, any problems, if you just put your issue in on that chat function, we'll get back with you as soon as possible. Now today, Bobby, I'm joined by some of my administrators, Barbara Palmer, who's our Deputy Administrator of Personal Property. I got David Baker, who's the Deputy Administrator of Commercial Appraisal Permits, Exempt and Pilots. And I got Mr. Ken Washington, Deputy Administrator of Residential Appraisal. So our team, we're here today to answer any commercial and personal property questions. To all of you who are business owners, we realize providing for your families and your employees is your #1 priority. Therefore, when this pandemic first started or we realized what was going on, I went to the state's comptroller in Nashville to try to find out what can I do to provide relief to our homeowners and our taxpayers. And we're still working hard and working with the trustee and others to see what kind of relief, that we can provide, because we know there are difficult times. Because as you know, even though this pandemic or this COVID-19 got us standing still, the values of properties does not stand still. So I'd like to share just 3 important messages real quick with you, Bobby. Is my daily goal is to assess our properties to serve as an ongoing resource to you as business owners here in Shelby County. Number 2, we are preparing for our 2021 Shelby County reappraisal. By law, we must appraise your property at least once every 4 years. My communications team and I will share more information soon. And what I want everyone to know is this: when you get your assessment, just because your home went up in value does not mean you have to pay higher taxes. Because remember, the county commission, which my former colleagues, are the ones that sets the tax rate, and that determines how much money you pay in your house or due to taxes. Morrison team want to serve as a resource for the business owners and the residents of Memphis and Shelby County. We are here to serve you. And I know, Bob, we've been getting a lot of calls with some of the tax representatives or attorneys that represented people like the Malco, different chains, different food chains, because it's really affecting, their reopening, and it has affected their sales. So, they're coming to us saying, well, should we get a break because we were not up and running? So those are the type of issues that we're dealing with to make sure that we can be very responsive to the community and make sure that we're here to provide you any kind of relief. And we will keep the community updated about the ways the pandemic has continued to plague us. And today, I just want to share with you as business owners, even though there have been some change, we realize some businesses continue to be impacted more than others. So, Bob, that's what we're here to do, to whatever this office can provide, to provide any kind of relief to our business owners, commercial, residential, or whoever, just property owners, period. We're here to serve you.
Thank you very much, Assessor Burgess. I appreciate you and appreciate your team. Y'all have always been very responsive, and your outreach has been something that we've appreciated. At this point, we'll be back to you. Actually, if you mute yourself and turn your camera off, and we're gonna go to our register of deeds for Shelby County. Miss Shelandra Ford, she has been in the position since August of 2018, and at the time that she was actually elected, she brought with her 20 years of experience in Shelby County government as a public servant prior to her actually taking on a historic role. And this historic role is that she was the first African-American female ever elected to the position of Register of Deeds. So with that said, Register Ford, we appreciate your being on, and we actually will hand it over to you. Turn your microphone on, turn your camera on, and the floor is yours. Thank you for being here. Register Ford. Okay. I want to make sure they're unmuted. Tanja, we can make sure Register Ford is unmuted.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We can hear you now.
Great.
Register Ford, are you there? All
Yes.
right. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
First of all, I would like to thank Chairman Robertson and Bobby White and the other members of the chambers for putting this together. My name, I'll give you my introduction. My name is Shelandra White Ford, and I'm your Register of Deeds for Shelby County. Some of the duties of my position entails recording deeds to real estate properties, lands, titles, and other instruments. I manage a fee-based office, meaning that the fees I collect over the budget year covers the office, the running of our office. And I have approximately 30 employees, and this office does generate revenue, which is approximately $1 million, approximately $1 million per year of extra revenue that we generate for the county, Shelby County. We also process over 100,000 plus filings every year, and we have customers from all over the world. We do have online filing, e-filing, which is up to about 65% now. And the vision for my office is to be responsive and provide great customer service and to process accurate and deeds, deeds in a quickly and sufficient manner. I also want to be in the community, and I can also announce today that I will be opening a satellite office for our downtown, Midtown, and North Memphis, South Memphis customers. This is a plan that we're going to roll out with the assessors, which is Assessors Burgess as well. This aligns with my vision of being in the community for the people. And with that being said, I'm excited, and I do again thank you for allowing me to join your cast today.
Thank you very much, Register Ford. We appreciate your being here, and we're going to get back to you and all of you in just a moment. If you can mute yourself and turn your camera off, we're going to actually switch to our next personality. I will say that this next one, Regina Morrison Newman, who is our trustee, as is someone who has worked in the public sector, has years of experience. She is by training a lawyer, and she is someone who has worked on the forefront for many years here in the city of Memphis, inclusive of her time as the number 2 in the legal department with the city of Memphis. During that time, she and I, we burned up that road from here to Nashville on some important work that we were able to do and pull off. But I'm very delighted that she's in this role, and she brings that public servant's heart to it, as do Ms. Ford and Mr. Burgess. So with that said, Ms. Regina Morrison Newman, the floor is yours, and I'm ready to drive whenever you let me know.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to say I greatly appreciate the invitation. Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Thank you, Bobby. Happy to be here with my good friend, Assessor Burgess, from a while back, and our recent, fairly recent register, Shelandra Ford. And I do have a presentation I wanted to give. I've been in this office since the election of 2018. I have served as trustee before. Y'all may remember that in about 2009, 2010, when Trustee Matilda died after Trustee Patterson passed away. And so, Bobby, if you will key up our presentation, we'll get it rolling real quickly and give everybody an overview on what we do.
I'm catching up to you. I need about 30 seconds.
Then I'll keep talking. Okay, the main function of the trustee's office is to serve as the banker of Shelby County. And that entails a few things. Number one, we collect property taxes. Property taxes are about $800 million a year, represent 54% of the county's revenue on which county government operates. And the second function is to be the investor of the county's portfolio.
Can you see your presentation, Regina? Can you see that presentation?
I don't.
Bobby, I can pull it up real quick. I have it locked and loaded. I'll do it now.
Please. Thank you. Go right back, Trustee Newman. Sorry about that. Amy is going to drive.
Okay. Gotcha. Here it comes. Okay, next slide, please.
This should be a slide.
We're getting there. Sorry for the hold up.
Technical difficulty. Hold on one second.
You gonna be there right on the. Do I need to announce it to you that I have the option?
All right, there we go. That's what the trustee does. We perform cash management for all the countywide collections of all the elected officials and the other offices. We allocate based on the tax rate determined by the county commission. For example, how much of a tax penny goes to schools versus the general fund versus debt service. And then we transfer education amounts to the schools. We report to the county finance department as to the county's finances. And our total receipts report is available on our website every day and is emailed to commissioners on the last business day of each week. I kind of skipped over the part. We do invest the county's portfolio, which is all the revenue that flows through our office. Next slide, please. And the property tax basics are this. The assessor determines the value of all the property in Shelby County. Thank you, Melvin. And he sends us a certified tax roll in March or so of each year. The county commission then will set the tax rate, and we will load all that, calculate, print, and mail tax notices, which usually go out late July, early August. Next slide.
No, it's just
The timing of the county's property tax collections, or you can see, it's very cyclical, and we pretty much start getting some money in November, December. The last day to pay county property taxes is February 28th. So that is when the bulk of the money comes in. It continues to come in throughout March, and the summer months are really the lowest because nobody has to pay till February. Next slide, please. This is a historical percentage of the billing and collection of all the taxes. This does not include pilot. Am I back on?
You're back on.
Okay. And so as you can see, tax collections have gone up in the first year for many years now. During tax year 2019, which ended on June 30th of 2019, we hit the highest level ever, which was 97.12%. Unfortunately, this year they dropped down slightly. I'm gonna key that in on about $4 million short due to COVID. So although we were still close to 97% and very near where we were the year before, we did suffer what I'm gonna hope is just a COVID loss. And that is the amount that we anticipated. And so that's the amount we've anticipated for the coming year as well. Next slide. As far as the tax billing function, we mail 250,000 tax notices. This year, we substituted in 107,000 postcards to those people who paid with mortgage companies. Budget was very tight. And if your mortgage company paid your taxes this year, then you got a postcard instead of a bill. It was a little cheaper. And then 12,200 e-bills were sent. Pay at 901 was a service that was implemented by my predecessor late December 2017. That was when the phone app was launched. It was called Pay at Shelby at that time. After that, Memphis joined in April of 2019, and we renamed it Pay at 901. You can now pay Shelby County, Memphis, Lakeland, Arlington, and Millington taxes on the Pay It either online on our website or the city's website or through the phone app. Last summer, we launched e-billing. We've now got at least 12,000 people signed up for e-billing, and we've got over 70,000 people who pay online through Pay It. We have just started working on a voice recognition so that people can call our number and pay with their debit or credit card. So hopefully that will be implemented in the next 6 months or so. And anything we can do to continue to allow contactless payments at this point due to the pandemic is a good thing. Next slide. There's the logo for Pay It 901. Feel free to sign up on your phone. Next slide. Our cash management consists of our investments, and the investment portfolio is presently, as of the end of August, about $580 million. It goes up drastically. By the beginning of March, it's over $1 billion. By the end of November, it's much smaller. The county does like to spend its money on its expenses, and so the spend for the county is about $170 million per month on average. And so right now that's where we are. We invest idle money. We pay interest to all our banking clients, which are the county offices monthly. Our investments are governed by the TCA, and we are still, thank goodness, maintaining a higher yield than the state portfolio. Next slide, please. This is a chart indicating what the state portfolio makes, which is the local government investment pool and the trustee concentration rate, and a couple of other things. So we are 27 basis points above the state portfolio. I'm very happy to do that. Next slide. We serve as the banker for Shelby County and the county schools and the elected officials. The annual deposits through this office, the flow through of money is $3.5 billion. We maintain 42 bank accounts, countless funds, and have 15 clients. And some of the services we provide are listed there. We are in the process of implementing smart safes / virtual vaults for the county offices, the clerk's offices, the county clerk, et cetera. And at the same time, we're expanding the use of remote deposit scanners so that funds taken in through the various offices will be deposited daily, even if whether or not they leave the premises. Next slide. Trustee staff is very experienced and professional, and a lot of them have been with us 30+ years. There are 653 years of combined experience in about 60 employees. And so we have 19 employees with postgraduate degrees, and this is an excellent office, and we like to consider ourselves the flagship for Shelby County. Next slide. We do operate some community programs from the trustee's office. Next slide. The programs for tax bills, tax relief is a state-sponsored program, and the county commission joined in, and essentially it provides pays part of folks' residential taxes if they are 65 or older, or have a disability, or are veterans, or widow or widowers of veterans. It is a program for low-income folks. Tax freeze is very similar. It freezes the amount on taxes on people's primary residence for future years, as long as they apply every year. The application deadlines for these programs are in March, so that people have all year to get their documentation together, file an application. We've grown those programs in the past year, sent out a lot of information over the pandemic period when people were at home, and had a lot of people who hadn't bothered to have time to apply. So they've grown a lot. The other program we do is the wheel tax rebates for seniors over 65 with an income limit of $25,000. They pay to get their tags and then apply here to get a rebate of $50. Next slide. About a year ago, we opened the Greater Memphis Financial Empowerment Center. This is a grant-funded program with the sponsors as shown here. Assessor Burgess is one of the sponsors of this program. The RISE Foundation is our nonprofit partner. This program provides free one-on-one financial counseling to any Shelby County resident for as long as they need it. And the Cities for Financial Empowerment started this with a grant. We have served over 550 customers, clients, as of this date in a little over a year, and they have reduced their non-mortgage debt by $500,000. So we are very, very happy with the success shown so far. We encourage everybody to get involved with this program. The website is GMFEC.org, but we have slots for 4 or 5 counselors, and they are well trained. This is a confidential program, and it's totally free. It's not a seminar. It's not a workshop. It's free one-on-one counsel. I tell everybody it's kind of like Weight Watchers. You have your own counselor for as long as you need it, and we're very pleased with the success. Next slide. We have some other programs. Project Home helps people try to work out a payment plan to get out of a tax sale and keep their property. Bank on Memphis is, of course, still going on in a partnership with the city, and to assist with the unbanked folks. And On My Own is a financial simulation for young people. Next slide. So this is the information on Project Home to try to help people catch up on their tax debt and avoid a tax sale. Next slide. And the Bank on Memphis program, a lot of financial institutions are involved in this. I am working on some details and data right now. It looks like we have actually decreased the amount of underbanked people in Shelby County. So hopefully I can get that information out very soon. Next slide. And On My Own is financial simulation for teenagers and young adults. And we make presentations, and it kind of teaches them how to handle their own money. So I think that's the extent of our presentation.
Thank you, Madam Trustee. I will tell you that I will have the On My Own song from Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald ringing in my head for the rest of the day.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. With that said, I'm going to ask the assessor and the register, if you all would, and Trustee, if you guys all would turn your phones on. I'm sorry, not your phones, but your cameras. We're going to get into our kind of question and answer period. And at this point, I also want to go ahead and encourage those of you who are on the line to send in any questions that you might have to the Q&A tab. I failed to mention it out loud, even though I sent it in the chat. If you can send any questions that you have to the Q&A chat, we have received some. We did receive a few before the phone call. And then I have a couple of questions I just want to ask, generally speaking, just to give people a little context. I'm going to ask this question to each of you, and we'll start with you, Mr. Burgess, Brother Burgess. We'll start with you, then we'll come over to Register Forward, and then we'll come back to Assessor Newman here. I'm trying to not call y'all by your first name. You see me trying to be professional. I put a tie on and everything for you guys, so apologies here. So if you can do this for, what does your office do, or what service does your office provide that the average citizen might not be aware of? We'd love to hear you give any context on that. I mean, I just heard a wealth of information from you, but is there a service or something that your office does that average citizen might not be aware of? Jump in at any time. I won't necessarily put it in order, but if you want to go ahead and go first, Mr. Burgess, we'd appreciate any context.
Okay, well, first, just to get a little quick overview, because since the trustee was so thorough with our presentation, I want the owners or the people in Shelby County to know that we have a total of 396,168 parcels. Now, parcels are a tract of land or property identified or divided for accounting purposes for government by government. So out of that, real estate, we have 352,902, and personal property, we have $43,266. So our total assessed value was $19,294,000, and our appraised value was right at $66 billion. So I just wanted to start with that, Bobby. But what we do here, if of course we're going to go through a reappraisal, and unfortunately, the state constitution says that we must identify and we must collect property taxes, because that's the only form of revenue that's generated in the state of Tennessee. That's unfortunately. However, and there are stipulations, and I want people to understand that I don't make up the numbers. I mean, all we do is, Bobby, is, you can go on our website and look at your property and see how many bedrooms you have, or whatever the case might be. And if that is not correct, please notify our office. And even though we'll come out and do a personal assessment for you to make sure we get the numbers right, because people look at the reappraisal as, well, oh my goodness, my house no finna go up. No, this is a time for us to get it right, because we're not perfect. We have over 396,000 parcels. So, we're trying to get the information right as it pertains to our website, as far as the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, or just footage, or whatever the case might be. And Bob, what we've done is we have developed a new website that will take you from top to bottom, and it will ask you any questions you might have, and even the appeal process, meaning that, how to do an appeal, the date to submit an appeal, when the Board of Equalization meet, and all of those characteristics for, for homeowners and property owners. But the main thing is that I want people to know that you can call our office, email, or whatever, anytime. And we want to make sure that you're provided with information pertaining to your home, because we know that's sometimes your only investment. And we want to make sure that that investment is on the roll, and we're continuing to identify those properties that might have issues and the ones that don't. But we're always here to make sure that we make a correction if it's not proper or if it's not right on the website.
I appreciate that. And in other words, I want to make sure we're underscoring, just to say that, number one, the information sometimes that you guys are putting out there isn't set in stone. And it's not that you all aren't inflexible to have a conversation about what needs to be corrected or looked at again. So that's a great point. Great point. All right. What about you, Registered Ford? What is it that your office does, a service that you provide, that the office provides, that the average citizen might not be aware of?
Bobby, we have a slew of services that the registrar's office provide. One would be, we do offer the DD 214, the veterans discharge. We do record those. So at any time, a veteran can record their military discharge and obtain a copy at any time if it's filed within our office.
Wow, hey, let me be honest with you. I was not aware of that myself, and I worked for years in the congressional office, and I know how important that is. Quite frankly, you have Travis, my dear friend Travis Green, as your CAO over there. So, and he's a veteran. So I honestly did not know that myself, and I'm supposed to know better. So I really appreciate that. That's really great information. All right, Regina, we're going to come over to you. Say again. I'm sorry, Regina. I'm
sorry. We have other services. That was just only one.
No, I understood. I mean, no, I think that's great information. It really is. And let me also say to all of y'all, there's follow-up information. We're very open to sharing out with the group. We'll make, Regina, we'll make your presentation available, and any other information you guys want to get out, we are absolutely open to making sure all the attendees receive it. Regina Newman, what services that you guys provide? You covered several, but I'd love to hear if there's one or two in particular you'd like to underscore.
Sure. The main thing I think that we need to get the word out on is the programs for the seniors, the disabled, and the veterans of low income. And we are trying to grow those programs. We were able to do that by sending out a little postcard, which is something we've moved a lot more towards in the past year or so, and sent out a postcard at the beginning of COVID just to say, here's, we're open, we didn't close. If you have any trouble paying your taxes, let us know and we'll set up a payment plan. And also, if you've never had time to check into tax relief or tax freeze, please call us. And so we had about 600, I think, new applicants because the deadline had been extended. So that was a really good thing. All those programs are in our brochure that goes out with every taxpayer, but I'm not sure everybody reads it. If I get something, I usually throw it in the trash. So in any event, but those programs for the folks who need those programs are a great thing. And we're obviously over the past year letting everybody know about the Greater Memphis Financial Empowerment Center. We've obtained another grant, and Bobby White knows this, a planning grant in regard to consumer financial protection in Shelby County. So I have just now formed an idea team, and Mr. White has been kind enough to share his time with us to try to identify what needs to be fought, what needs to be changed, and what we can do about things like predatory lending or COVID scams, et cetera, over the next few months, and then hopefully get a grant to address those things with whatever we can do to address them. And so that's what the idea team is gonna find out about. So those are the main programs. Obviously, if you've got kids in college or whatever, we're happy to go to U of M or Southwest Tennessee in a normal situation and do our on my own simulation. So that's another thing. But there are things that we've had to curtail in terms of on-site presentations because of COVID.
Good deal. All right, this is a question I'll put out there, and the appropriate person, please chime in. The questions are rolling right in. If my property, parcel, land is on the tax sale list, how can I keep it? I am behind on taxes and cannot pay back taxes at this time. Also, the city tore the house down, but never notified me it was being torn down. What can I do to keep my property?
Okay. If you're on the tax sale list or scheduled for sale, and the website will show you that, this is my question, and sorry, Melvin, and so you can call us at 222-0200 and try to set up a payment plan. If you keep your payment plan, and the whole idea is that your property would be paid out in about 2 years, all the delinquent taxes would be paid. If you keep your payment plan, your property will not be sold. If you, for some reason, can't keep your payment plan, you either need to try to work it out with us, or it will be on the next tax sale. So as to the part about the house being torn down, then I have a question that's going to go to my friend Assessor Burgess as to whether or not the assessment's been changed. If the person has applied for an assessment change because the house has been torn down and the property value should be low.
And add to what the trustee is saying, if I can get that caller or that person, if I can get that information, they can call me at 222-7000, or you can, chime it in and I can get you the information as far as like the trustee said, what the assessment was before and after the house was torn down. I can get that information.
And whomever, we don't have a name on that one, but they can reach me, bwhite@memphischamber.com. We can get you directly to the assessor, to the trustee. I know that just being able to get that answered based on these comments they are mentioning, I think would be terrific. Okay, we have a question here for Register 4. Has there been any consideration of recording in color deeds and other instruments of title? I often prepare restrictive covenants that will include maps and other drawings. Sometimes it is hard to download and read recorded documents that appear only in black and white or grayscale.
Very technical question.
Register 4?
Well, actually, that is a very technical question. We do, some of the services we do offer also entails recording property plat maps. And it's very detailed when you're recording those maps. And for now, it's only done like in black and white because of the grayscaling and the dimensions of the areas that we're recording. So for now, it's just black and white, but we are looking at brightening, advancing our technology within the registrar's office.
And let me say this, and I'll say this with all of you all. I know it always comes down to it that, the chamber is here when you're wanting to make a link back with people who share your interest in terms of the technology and other things that you need in your offices. have those conversations with me, and I can find you a group of people who will support you at the appropriate time. And I think that we all know how budgetary matters sometimes frame what we're able to do. So, okay, I have a one here for, let me bob over here to a question we received before. There's often a discussion about how the number of properties that are tax sale eligible in the, there's often a discussion about what's the number of properties that are tax sale eligible in the county. How many properties are sold in tax sales each year? How many properties are sold to private purchasers at auction? And how many are taken by the county due to no bids? I don't anticipate you to have that information at the ready, but if there are any possible way to grab a round number out of midair, I'm open to it.
All right. I did attempt to grab some numbers because we've obviously done this before, but I didn't have current numbers in front of me. At any given time, there are about 11,000 tax sale eligible properties in Shelby County that would be eligible. Since we collect delinquent taxes for every municipality, that would be eligible for all of them. So countywide, and that would include all the other cities, about 11,000. Now, that doesn't mean that's a backlog. In any given year, between 7,000 and 9,000 are scheduled for tax sale. And the issue comes in when they're scheduled for tax sale and the title work is not done for that tax sale. So about 10% of those actually go to sale on the date of the sale, between 20% paying and 20% entering payment plans and various other, some file bankruptcy. Bobby, I love it how your head keeps disappearing. Okay. And so a lot of things happen, but from the time they're scheduled till the date the sale starts. So on the date the sale starts, about 10% of them are going to sale. So if you've got 9,000 scheduled, you maybe have 900 going into the sale. And we do have more, if 1,000 of them go into sale, then 1,000 of them are pretty much going to be sold because either a private buyer is going to pick them up or they're going to end up in the land bank. And the term no bid is a totally separate situation than a property goes in the land bank, because essentially the land bank is bidding, and so they belong to Shelby County if no private bidder bids on them. So the issue that has come up in the past when I got here was that there was one title search vendor under contract, and that title search vendor could not deal with all the searches that we needed done for 4 county tax sales a year and 1 city of Memphis sale. That's 5 sales a year. No one vendor can do that. As I said, we've got between 7,000 and 9,000 properties scheduled for sale. So we went to the county commission, we bid the process. We have 3 new vendors. The work was divvied up between them. They are now spending all the budget money that we had available for title searches, and the title search process is getting caught up, which means more properties are going to tax sale on the date of the sale. They're not just being prepared for tax sale, they're actually going. The one thing that could happen to assist us in this process is more budget money for title searches. That way, after we do all the work to prepare, the legal work to prepare the property for sale, it would actually go to sale, barring payments, etc., payment plans. But the budget is very, very tight, and essentially we've got $750,000 going to this process already. So that's the situation on the title searches.
All right, I'm gonna, I appreciate that. And I'm going to actually ask 2 questions at the same time because they both have to do with turnaround. And this is gonna be for Register Ford and Assessor Burgess. Assessor Burgess, how often is the property ownership information updated on the assessor's website. As an example, if a deed is recorded on a Monday, how long would it take for the assessor's database to reflect that change in ownership? And I'll come back over to register forward. If a deed or other instrument is recorded on Monday, for example, how quickly would we expect that document to show up in a search conducted on the register's website for the property? So both of these are kind of turnaround questions. Again, I'll repeat, how often for Mr. Burgess here, how often is the property ownership information updated on the assessor's website? And then for register forward, if a deed or other instrument is recorded on Monday, for example, how quickly would we expect that document to show up in a search conducted on the register's website for the property? Mr. Burgess, we'll start with you here.
Thanks, Bobby. So soon as we get them from the registrar's office, we record them and we put them in right away. However, it shouldn't be no more than between 24 and 48 hours as we try to record that information. So we get them right away and try to enter them in and put them on the system right away.
Okay, register forward. Unmute yourself, register forward. It's okay.
Okay, generally speaking, with the registrar's office, the recording of a deed takes approximately within 48 hours of the receipt. So it takes approximately 48 hours, but technically, if we enter the deed, we process the deeds as we receive them on a daily basis. So some of the information will become available within 20 minutes, but we do technically tell our customers to allow at least 48 hours within the receipt of that deed.
Okay, so it's safe to say that 48 hours is a good standard number for both, to answer to both questions, to be quite frank with you, sounds like.
Exactly.
Is that fair? Okay. All right, let me do this. Madam Trustee, we're gonna come back to you with this question that I know is one you are familiar with, and then register forward, we're gonna come back to you. Okay. I'm gonna actually ask you this, register forward, and then come back to you. There's we want to get some perspective on the backlog that the registrar's office has faced with reference to record keeping. This was pointed out to me just within the last year. So hold your answer on that. I'm going to pitch over here to Trustee Newman. When properties are not purchased at tax sale, the county takes ownership of them and markets them through the Shelby County Land Bank. Developers hesitate to purchase properties from the Shelby County Land Bank because often it is not possible to obtain title insurance or a bank loan for those properties. The title insurance companies believe that adequate notice of the tax sale was not provided to all of the property owners. What resources does the trustee's office need in order to ensure that all owners are given sufficient notice of the tax sale, thereby allowing the Shelby County Land Bank to transfer insurable title to purchasers?
Okay. The trustee's office doesn't need anything, but maybe you need new title insurance companies. So essentially, we are giving sufficient notice to all the owners. We go overboard in giving sufficient notice to the owners, which is why the Chancery Court allows the tax sale to happen.
Understood. What could say more about what's the standard for sufficient notice?
Notice to any owner and any potential owner and anyone with an interest. So I'm sorry. If we're going to sell Bobby and Sandra's property, that's right. Easy. Nobody else owns your property. If we're going to sell John Smith's property and John Smith died 50 years ago and then John Smith's son got it and then John Smith's grandchildren got it, that's a whole nother matter. And we're going to track them down and give notice. So it's not the notice that's being given, it's the fact that regardless of what we do in a tax sale, title insurance companies will not write title insurance on properties that go through tax sale or end up in the land bank. There is a very simple procedure to resolve this, which is a petition to clear title over in the Chancery Court. The chancellor who approved the tax sale and approved the notice and let the property go through and change the titles on the deed based on who ended up with it. But the petition to clear title will just go back to the chancellor. We even assist people with that because we have no objections to them. So that would clear your title, allow you to get title insurance, and allow you to get a loan on the property. But essentially, we don't know of a title insurance company that's going to provide title insurance, regardless of what we do or what notice we provide, based on the property going through tax sale. That's a statewide problem.
Got it. Okay, good. Are you all, can you hear an echo from me?
No.
Okay, that's just me hearing an echo. Sorry. Okay, all right. Register Ford, we're coming back to you regarding the backlog at the registrar's office regarding record keeping. And if you want to put that in more context regarding just the work that the registrar's office does in that with that function, that could possibly be helpful.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Excuse me, kind of tongue twisted. The archives has over a 15-year backlog. We're looking at 15-year backlog within the register, on the archive portion of the registrar's office. And this is, we are working on resolving that backlog. That means creating time-sensitive MOUs, memorandum of understandings. We're meeting with each elected officials to allow them to see what they have over at the archive, and we're assisting them on getting those records properly scanned, indexed, and preserved in the manners that they should be preserved in. But again, you're looking at a 15-year backlog, so it's going to take more so a lot of fundings, and it's going to take the cooperation of each elected officials and each body, mayor's administration, county commissioners. So it's going to take all of us to really resolve this backlog within the county. And I think we're headed on the right track on identifying this 15-year backlog, and to put things in place such as the proper indexing and the scanning and the preserving of these records. It should have been done well over 15 or 16 years ago.
Let me say this, Register Ford. I really appreciate, I don't know many people who would just share what you said without pointing out what's potentially obvious. Looks like somebody, looks like a predecessor, there may have been an issue with a predecessor. So I really appreciate your just putting the issue out there because that is, that's problemsome. And I know that you've heard that from others. So thank you for that. Let's do this. I want to know from you, Assessor Burgess, also, well, just across the board, are there any concessions that are being made as it relates to COVID-19? I have one question in particular, just even as it relates to the paying of the assessments, paying of taxes, so on and so forth. But are there any concessions that your offices have made relative to deadlines or anything of the sort, just across the board in reaction to the pandemic we've been dealing with? Love to hear from all of you if there are any context that you'd like to give.
Okay, Bobby, first I'd like to say that I know with some of our personal property schedules, I know we extended the deadline. And of course, we put out there, if you had any questions or any problems with your personal property schedule, which is the schedule you get from us. If you have a business, we ask you to put your computers, desk, office, whatever the case might be, on these forms. So we extended the deadline for the personal property schedules. And even so, we asked if you had problems filling it out, you come up here. I've designated one of our deputies, Barbara Palmer, and her staff will sit down with that person and make sure that that personal property schedule is filled out right then and there.
Okay, Register Ford.
We have, within the registrar's office, we've implemented what we call e-filing, which is available to most of our real estate community, where they will be able to e-file most of their records or the recordings. And it's up about 65% now. So a lot of people have taken advantage of the e-recording. And with that also being said, with COVID, we were able to stay open for our customers. Although we are on a hybrid schedule, we have maintained our business. And of course, real estate market is up, is trending, but we've been able to maintain our revenue and supply the services that's needed within the registrar's office. And with that also being said, we have implemented even a fraud alert program for our real estate community. And this is a new program which allows our residents to sign up for a fraud alert. So that means if someone makes the inquiry of your property without you knowing about it, you will be alerted through a system which is powered on by our system BIS, but you will be properly notified through the registrar's office. And it's just a click of a button, really registering with the registrar on the registrar's site for these services. So with that being said, COVID hadn't stopped the registrar's office. We're still implementing a lot of things. And earlier on, as I explained to you, we're in the process of rolling out what we call a satellite location with the help of Assessor's Burgess office and even Trustees Regina Newman. So I'm proud to say that I'm very happy, excited about rolling out a satellite office to make the registrar's office more accessible for Shelby County as a whole. Because we're out here at 1075 Mullen Station, but we want to implement other offices to make it accessible for the entire county.
Absolutely. Okay. Regina Newman.
Like the registrar's office, we never missed a beat. We've been open every day. We were able to send about 85% of our people home to work remotely due to technology, soft phones, et cetera. So they were answering our phones. We did have cashiers here. We did encourage everyone to pay either online or on the phone app or through check or money order, and had very few people show up down here with cash, thank goodness. However, we are now back into tax season, and the remote cashiers are roaming the county in the municipal city halls and Whitehaven Library, et cetera. So you will find them there. We had determined at the beginning of tax season we would only take cash down here downtown, and that's what the brochure that went out with the bill said. Since that time, however, we have entered into a partnership with the Shelby County Credit Union to use their 2 drive-throughs to take cash, and they have one out on Sycamore View and one in Midtown. So that's been very beneficial to be there one day a week so that people can come and pay cash. Cash was just becoming a security issue for our remote cashiers who just work at a little desk wherever they go during tax season. So that's been beneficial. As far as what COVID has done to tax collections, when we were making projections for the present fiscal year, we went back to 2008 to the foreclosure crisis. And I know Melvin and I have had a lot of conversations about this, that assessments for this year weren't necessarily changing. But just because a business has been assessed and that assessment can't change throughout the year doesn't mean they're still open and going to be able to pay their taxes. So we looked at what happened in 2008 and 2009 and adjusted the anticipated revenues down by about half a point, which is about $4 million. So hopefully we beat it. We've been somewhat astounded, I guess, that revenues have not gone down, that we set new records in May and June and September and beat our own projections internally. So revenues have continued to come in, and we can sit around and try to figure out if people were just sitting at home trying to figure out ways to pay their taxes. But we hope that we won't need that adjustment, and we may come in above revenue, but we don't know. So that's where we were in March when we were making projections, is we don't know. So hopefully the city's budget, I mean the county's budget is on par and able to be met with the revenues that will come in.
Well, thank you very much. We actually were planned to go a little longer, but I know many of you, 3 p.m. was the cutoff time. Let me also, I'll be remiss, I mentioned Travis Green. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention over at that assessor's office, my buddy Jay Bailey, who's CAO of Assessor's office. So it's just like, it's great having good people in these various offices who are working hard. I want to ask this closing question, because one of the frustrations we often have is from the business side or the business community side has to do with you know, there's often talk of red tape. There's often talk of speed. There's often talk of, and I'm not speaking specifically regarding either of you all's offices, there's often talk of the idea that methods and methodologies are outdated. I want you to talk a little bit about what's your manifest destiny. It could very well be for your office. It could very well be something you've begun or you've dipped your toe into, but don't have the budget to get you all the way there. But in terms of the service you seek to provide from your office for the community, where would you like to go in terms of advances in your office if in fact money were not a problem? And let's keep raises for very faithful and hardworking employees off of the table. Let's talk about the functionality of your offices. Let's start with you, Regina Newman, since you were already chatting there.
Okay. We just got approval from the County Commission for contracts to replace our 20-year-old legacy tax system with a new software as a service web-based system, which will allow us to go real time with my friend Melvin here. So we can both work towards that during the implementation process. It is a system that the city of Memphis is in the process of implementing. The city of Bartlett is on the same system. The assessor's on a similar vendor system. And right now what we've got is he has an address change come into the assessor's office, somebody enters it and sends it over. Their assessment changes the same way. Then we have to enter them. And this would allow one database system on the cloud to do all this. And so that's one thing, and that's been approved. So we will be moving to that over the next 18 to 24 months to try to get that implemented. If I had more money to do title searches, we could, update and smooth the title search process. We have already automated the wheel tax rebate process. We are in the process of working with the land bank to automate their process and hopefully update some procedures, which people have been complaining about getting refunds back, et cetera. So that would eliminate that problem. We want to continue to move to people making electronic payments. This is one of our major functions. The rest of our banking services are automated, and we're keeping them up to date. And we, trustee's office has always been kind of a technologically up to date office, except for that old tax system. But I tell people it's held together by barbed wire. But it's getting there and has ceased to have support. So, but we will always have folks who pay by cash. We're going to reach out to them. That's one of the things we're doing in the next couple of months, is reaching out to the people who pay cash. We will always have people who don't trust banks and who want to bring money down here and say hi to people. So we can't move everybody to electronic payment, but we're working on it.
That's great. All right, we're going to come to you, Register Forward. Money not being an issue. Where are you going? And again, it could very well be work that you are already moving into or looking to implement or having implemented partially. But where are you all going, and what would you like to see for the future of your office?
To be honest with you, Bobby, I think we need to start from scratch. But with that being said, that means updating our technologies. That's the most critical issue with the registrar's office, is that we have antiquated technology within this office. And my goal is to upgrade our technology so we can offer the color imaging. We've been getting several estimates, and I was just told by Mr. Green, he's working on implementing that colored copy for the land, for the plats. And we were giving an estimate about $100,000. So we're looking about a year out, we will be implementing these new upgraded technologies that we will be able to utilize, and it will be beneficial to our constituents. And we're also looking at to create more outreach services and webinars available, some Q&As, question and answers for the registrar's office, and want to really get out in the community and provide community awareness to let the public know what the office entails and what services we offer, and just to be available if they need any questions or answers. And lastly, we're looking at maintaining those records. The 15-year backlog, we're looking at to implement a scanning and microfilming and proper record management for the archive piece of the registrar's office. So we have a lot on our plate, but we are, again, with go-getter team, Ms. Travis, and the rest of my administrative team, we're go-getters, and we are making sound efforts with this department, and we'll just keep on pushing our way until it's done, until we see the end of this.
And so it's interesting listening to you, Register 4, because you guys, Regina, you guys don't have like CIP budgets, do you?
Yes, the county has a CIP budget.
Okay, I'm talking about as it relates to you all specifically.
Only if they approve it as part of the whole.
Right.
Only as they approve it as part of the whole. So it's almost like these, because when it comes to these big systems that take, that amount of money, it's almost like, it's
It's a multi-year process.
It's a multi-year process, not a one-time drop in the bucket, right?
It was approved last week, and we've been working on it for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
And
all right.
Concerned because with the registrar's office, we're one of the office that brings in extra revenue. So that's the question in the back of my mind, that we're bringing in revenue. We need to meet the needs of this office in making the mandates, making everything sufficient and efficient for our constituents of Shelby County.
Yeah, and it's almost like the argument of you're bringing it in. Why do you have to deal with the same? Let me leave that alone. I won't get into that. That's a longer conversation here. Yeah. So nevertheless, all right. Assessor Burgess, the last word here be yours in terms of what's manifest destiny for you guys in terms of, and let me first of all, hats off to all of you all in terms of working with what you've done in the advances you've already made for your respective offices. But with that said, Brother Burgess, we'd love to hear just any thoughts you have about what you'd like to see into the future vision for the office, or work that is still not done, that if you had the funding, you'd get that office there.
Thanks, Bobby. First of all, I want to, thank the employees here, that's been there over the number of years, because every time I go to an assessment meeting in Nashville with all the other assessors, Shelby County leads the way. They talk about how well Shelby County does. Of course, we're the bigger county, but they also talk about, like, for instance, we won what you call this big box case. That's like your big buildings like Home Depot, Lowe's, those big warehouses of that nature. Well, this thing has been in litigation since 2005, and we actually won that. I mean, they had big time attorneys, all the above, but guess what? We had great employees. So that means that when it's time to assess a big box, that means they're going to follow Shelby County's lead. Shelby County led the way. And I want to thank, also my CEO, Mr. Bailey, who have led other venues at the state level for all the assessors. So we lead the way, and I really appreciate the people I have here And I'm hoping that, you know, I can continue to do what I can for them, but they the one that make it happen. And getting back to the question, Bobby, is that, you know, in a lot of offices where people have been there 25, 30 years, there's a culture. And sometimes the culture calls for people doing the same things and just can't get used to doing different things, you know. Sometimes the only body that likes change is a baby when they wet. So, you know, we want to become paperless. We want to shoot for being paperless, and as well as, Bobby, we have so many appeals on our books. They go back as far as 2005. So we want to, Mr. Bailey has come up with an aggressive appeals team to where we can get these appeals off our books and get them settled with the trustee. So, you know, we want to be aggressive with that. But one of our biggest issues that we really want to see through is, Bobby, this Orange Mountain initiative that we got started. I'm very excited. I mean, we're full steam, got great support. And, you know, earlier they were talking about the land bank. We found out that 70% of the properties in Orange Mound that are vacant or abandoned are owned by Shelby County, the land bank. So, you know, we're working with county government, other investors, to see if we can come up with a plan to where we can lay this plan out, because the name of the game is, Bobby, is how do we bring the neighbor back in the hood? So that's our plan. How do we get some of these communities that's blighted, the schools are closing, once we can get them going and get them back on the road, it's better for all of us. Because, Bobby, if you just sit back and think, there's a wall built around Orange Mound. If you go east of Orange Mound, you got University of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Go west of Orange Mound, you got Cooper Young. And if you go north of Orange Mound, you have Chickasaw Garden. Where I look at the property values in the surrounding areas, but when I look at Orange Mound, their property values went down 27% over the last 10 years. So something is not right. So I'm hoping, well, I know I am, that before I get out of here, that we have set a plan, not just for Orange Mound, but for Smoky City, Klondike, Whitehaven, Hickory Hill, wherever, to see how we can bring people back in our neighborhoods and get our schools back up to par. Because the more properties, like he said, the more properties that we can assess and put back on the roll, it's beneficial for all Shelby Countyans. Thank you, Bob.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for the quote of the day. The only folks that won't change sometimes are babies when they're wet. I had not heard that one before. I appreciate it. But listen, I just want to thank you all for your service, your ongoing service, and the openness. I think that I thought it was a question. We got quite a few questions sent in, and we're not even able to get to all of them. I may be following up with you all with some other answers to those questions. But one question in particular said, please let them know that we, the audience, thank them for taking time to participate. So on behalf of the audience and, of course, all of us here at the Chamber, we appreciate you all so much for being a part of this conversation, and look forward to the partnership. And hey, maybe sometime soon we'll do this again, because I do think having all three of you all on the line proved to be beneficial for those who were able to be here and listen. So thank you all very much on behalf of Beverly Robertson and members of the Chamber. Thank you all for being on the line, and we look forward to seeing you all the next time. You all take care very much.
Thanks,
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right.